in the case of We Are Water, and I run a volunteer writing program for the women at a place called York Prison. It's the only maximum security prison for women in our state, in Connecticut. I thought I was going one time, and that turned out to be, 15 years ago, and I'm still going there. Now, over the years, almost immediately, and certainly over the years, what I learned, and I think the women have taught me more than I've taught them, but one of the things I learned is the connection between childhood sexual victimization, particularly by relatives, incest, and later incarceration, for a number of reasons. Now, that's not to say that all kids who are sexually abused are going to turn into convicted felons, but that is definitely part of the pattern that I saw over and over by the women's writing. Most of them, they can write any genre they wish, but most of them choose to write memory pieces, write about their own lives. And I think, I'm no therapist, but I see the therapeutic value of their not only making their putting their stories in paper, but then having the courage to share them with the other women in the group and with me. I'm a late middle-aged white guy. Why should they trust me? But they do. And so over the years, I gathered a knowledge in what the victim goes through, and what the victim feels like, and how she carries that into her adulthood. In the novel, I became curious about, okay, if these are the victims, and of course Annie, is victimized in that way, how about the perpetrators? What did the predators? What's going on in their minds? Why do they have these compulsions and so forth? And that's how the character of Kent emerged. Annie's older cousin who sexually abuses her, and I was reluctant to follow, go into his head, and yet I felt like I needed to do that to better understand, the whole picture. And I never felt sympathetic toward him when I'm writing Kent's story, but I think I came out with a better understanding of his backstory and how such such inclinations develop. At least for that one character. Certainly I'm not generalizing. It was very interesting to me because, as I said, I didn't understand where I was going with this novel. I just had to keep showing up at the writing desk to find out. And when it was not planned that Annie and Orion's 3 adult children were going to start speaking, but when they did, I learned all kinds of things about Annie and about life in that family. Of course, we have Ariane, who is the peacekeeper, and also the enabler. And then we've got Andrew, who is partly by his virtue of being the male child, becomes Annie's victim. She becomes violent with him, and I think it's too easy for me to draw a line between, oh, he's the surrogate for Kent, but yet there is part of that anger in her and fear in her that develops because Andrew challenges her in ways, and she's still, in some ways, fighting back.